Greetings, friends and followers. This is Nurses Talking, and I am Dale Barzy. And as always, if you like what you see and hear, subscribe. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. Here on Nurses Talking, we speak to nurses anywhere in the world and at any stage in their nursing journey. And today I have the very great pleasure of welcoming back two nurses who were very gracious enough to speak to me in the early days, Theresa Walding and Lyn McCright. Theresa and Lynn are both holistic nurses. Lynn is a public health nurse. She's an adult and geriatric nurse practitioner. She is a health and wellness board certified nurse coach. And Teresa is also a nurse coach. And they both have advanced nurse coaching, which, as Teresa just said, is changing the world. So, welcome, Lynn and Teresa.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here with you. You know, Dale, I just love the way you reach out to people and allow them to be themselves and are just embracing nursing worldwide with your vision. It's so broad and so generous, and we just admire that so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for saying that. I have to say that, you know, I have benefited, I think, maybe more than anyone else. I've benefited just from being able to speak to all this stuff that so many of the nurses really just pour into me.
Yes.
So, you know, it's a two-way thing. It really is.
Mhm.
But anyway, when we first spoke, it was like around 4 years ago. So looking back, and I remember, Lynn, when I asked what was the most essential quality of a nurse, and Lynn said resilience, and Teresa said compassion. So, but we talked about resilience and transformation. So looking back now over these last 4 years, changes have you seen?
Nurses have had to become more resilient than ever just to survive the last 5 years. And
Yeah.
what it seems to me is that we're actually created to be resilient. Otherwise, we wouldn't be on the planet. A lot of other species have about 90% of them die in a very short period of time. And we are actually created to continue living and become more adaptable
Hmm.
as our life goes on. I think that for myself, what has saddened me in a bit is that the word resilience has almost been used against nurses. Like the institutions say, well, why aren't you more resilient? You should be.
Yeah.
And it's not about that. It's absolutely not about that. When the nurse can find for herself or himself what enriches them, what feeds their soul, what lets them grow as a person, then burnout doesn't occur.
Yeah, yeah. And you said when they can find it,
They've
do
had
you
it
think
all along, but it's just a process of identification, I think. Letting
yeah,
them be more comfortable with being themselves, not trying to fit into the box. And
yes,
certainly not just checking the boxes at work and then going home and doing the same thing day after day, but taking time for oneself and one's interests outside of work, um, paying more attention to family. And in a way, the pandemic has been a blessing to all of us in that regard. We've
yeah,
really had to prioritize our families, and I'm really grateful for that.
yeah. And that really has been a steep learning curve for some of us.
Well, it's no longer a secret.
So, so you mentioned that you had just returned from the California Association of Nurse Practitioners.
Yes.
So what stood out the most there? What theme stood out the most there? Either
I
of you.
I really have been shocked, I guess is the word, at our most recent attendance at our various nurse practitioner association meetings. They're exhausted,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely exhausted. And we might have the table all the way at the back of the exhibit hall, and yet they run to our table.
Mm-hmm.
And even the nurses who are the nurse practitioners, new only a year, tell us that they are looking for something different. How can that be that
Mm-hmm.
our profession has failed us, even at the highest clinical levels, that
Yeah.
the dissatisfaction with nursing is so apparent right now? And when we started our program, literally 10 years ago, we saw that. We saw that coming. And we're so fortunate to be here because we do have something different to offer. Nurse coaching can be done in a hospital setting, it can be done in a private practice, it can be done in a health department, any place that nurses work, and any clinical area is where nurse coaching belongs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so my question is, because you know what, we talk about nurse coaching, and what I have learned is that when you mention those words, some people kind of stop and say, well, what do you mean by that? Right? So when
It's
someone, what should they expect from a program like yours?
Teresa?
so, you're right. People go, so do you coach nurses? No,
Yeah.
we coach anyone who wants coaching. And I think because it's so new, I think we're still finding our wings with what nurse coaching actually means.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just had a couple of nurse practitioners reach out last week, and one of them's like, all the primary care docs around here are advertising that they have a nurse coach on staff. So we are making headway with what a nurse coach is, what they do. And I think it's that bridge of getting to spend the time with the people, with the patients or the public to share nursing knowledge. So the way we can share nursing knowledge is to put it in something that people can begin to recognize that means, oh, I know what that is. And so we're finding better ways to showcase that. And Lynn and I were really early to the game. We started when it was only 3 years old, and we didn't know that no one knew what it was. So
Yeah.
it's been a lot of education and a lot of conversations. But the nurse coach is really a nurse advocate who shares nursing knowledge with
Mm-hmm.
with the public, with their peers, with leadership. It becomes an internal way to create that resilience that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Why aren't we more resilient is a really big question, because we've been at conferences where we mentioned the word resilience and there was an instant like, I'm sick of hearing that word. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a good
Yeah.
word. It's a good word when we know we already have it. It's not something we aspire to be or have to go find. It's when that noise in our head quiets enough to let it just arise.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's literally resilience is taking the next step. It appears every time we take a step. So to say we don't have it is not true. And so we have to be able to show people that, because it looks like it's something to do. It's actually somewhat something we are. So
Mm-hmm.
we keep
Mm-hmm.
embracing the word in hopes that it will change. And we know that every single person has their own idea about what resilience means.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
part of the uncovering that coaching helps us do.
Yeah. Yeah. You just said something that to me was very, very big and struck me out. You talked about when the noise in our head quiets enough
Hmm.
to let us know. And for me, that's a big thing because, it's always going on. And particularly, I think in our profession, there's so much. We're being bombarded with so much. And in our own selves, as nurses, as nursing expands, actually, it's like I'm seeing people having this real confusion. I don't even know if confusion is the word, but it reminds me, I'll tell you a story it reminds me of. I once worked with someone who migrated to the US from Russia. I'm not sure where in Russia she was from, but she told me the story of coming to America for the first time and going into the supermarket to buy bread and was so confused about the how much bread there were, the different kinds of bread there were. She didn't know what to do. And so she cried and left the store
Yes.
without buying any bread. And sometimes I feel like nursing is like that. There's so much at this point going on. And as it expands more, they become more almost even more pressured, other than what was there before. It adds to the pressure. And so your quiet calm of calming what's in the head is so needed.
It absolutely is, and most people don't know that they don't have to listen to every thought in their head. That's
Yes.
the other thing. Like, well, that came
Yes.
up. I must need to pay attention to it because we're hardwired to look for the things
Yeah.
that keep us alive, right?
Yeah.
And so in our society, if we listen to the news, if we go down the street, if we hear, all the social media, it's all the noise. It's the
It's all
noise. And I have multiple friends who have gotten off social media. They said my mind is so quiet.
Oh, wow.
So there's something to be said for that. Their conversation is happening. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and yet we feel like we're missing out on something if we're not part of that social media.
Exactly.
But we can
Exactly.
choose how to use it. So I've been experimenting with this, engaging and using social media only to create good things. And so I've been engaging with people in my community. If I see someone in my community who's doing something, I go and I support them and I talk to them. And turns out there's people doing a lot of really good things right here in my community, but I was looking in the wrong place. And
Mm-hmm.
we're often looking at the cute kitty cat or the dogs doing all these things. Um, and I think if we can slow down long enough to go, you know what? The life I'm really living is right here in my home, right here in my community.
Yeah.
And what can we do to increase the connectivity? Because loneliness is the new heart disease, right? It just came out a few months ago. And I thought there has to be a way for us to re-engage our communities and learn from each other. And so then I started looking some more. Guess what? There are people doing it in my community, creating places for people to connect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But so I have a plan to go to 3 places this week and see what they're doing.
And see what they're doing.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's quite something also. Very often I have learned that when something occurs to me and I see something that needs to be done, very often, if you look for it, you will find that someone is already doing it or has started or has the idea, and all you need, you really just
Yep.
need to come together and get it done.
It's absolutely true. The other thing that Lynn and I have been doing quite a lot is if we go somewhere, we invite people to meet us. Like, come have coffee, come have, a meal with us. We want to know who you are. And
Yeah.
so that's creating quite a lot of fun for us to be able to connect with people we've either met at conferences or students from our coursework. And it's very interesting because I have a few people who I've only met once who probably text me once a week. And then now they're sharing their kids, and I'm going out and voting for them on their, hey, my son's in this contest. Will you go vote for him?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
kinds of connections I think that we need um, to feel of connection, of service, of whatever that is. But it's also a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a lot. And that's the thing right there, because we, over the last few years, because of this blow up of social media, we have been losing that connection, that personal connection. You know, we have 500,000 friends, but not
Right.
really one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that going out and meeting people and whatever, I think you're going to find is really, really valuable and really, really appreciated, because even when we don't recognize it, I think we're yearning for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I started going back to some of the university offerings. If they have, like, I went to an nurse entrepreneur summit at the university, like 30 minutes from me, and a nursing research symposium. I had so much fun, to support people putting their work out there. And nurses are doing a lot of good work,
This is
a
doing a lot of
lot.
work. Hmm.
And
Yes.
so we want to be a part of that, share our work, but we also like to hear what other people are doing, because I never know when somebody's going to need it.
Yeah. Yeah. You never know when someone's going to need it. True, true, true. So, Lynn, if you could speak directly to the exhaustedness, what would you tell her? Because, Teresa said people are exhausted. What would
Right.
you tell
You know what I realized not long ago was that the most important part of self-care is actually dropping self-criticism. And I thought, wow, well, those are some interesting words. How do you go about doing that? I mean, how do you drop something that is so automatic from the background that we all come from? And at first I thought, well, it's like if you were holding a hot coal in your hand and you knew you needed to get rid of it, you would just turn your hand over. And then I thought, well, even that, it sounds like an effort. And then I realized all we really need to do is love ourselves more. When we
her?
look in the mirror, we can look
Yes,
directly in our eyes and
yes.
say, I love you. And if you can't do that, just play with it, just practice. Just next time you go by the mirror, say, hey, you're great, you're doing good. Because we do that for everybody else. But the reason we're not nourished is because we don't do it for ourselves.
Don't do it for ourselves. Yes, yes, yes. You know, I cannot even begin to tell you how deeply that just resonated with me. Before we came on, Teresa, Lynn mentioned my book that I just released couple of months ago. That very concept is in one of the chapters. It's called Mirror,
Wow.
Mirror. And
Yeah.
and I challenge people to take a moment, look in the mirror, and just look in your own eyes just for 10 seconds, just for 10 seconds, and kind of reframe what you think, because very often we don't, first of all, when we look in the mirror, we don't look we look at our features, but we
Right.
don't look at ourselves. We tend to see what we want to see. We want to see, tend to look at, oh my, there's a wrinkle here, and there's a this there, and uh, my chin hair, and all of that kind of thing. But that's only the body doing a thing. Who are you really? Who are you really? And so recently I challenged people to just look at their hands, because they say your hands tell how old you are.
Mm,
Just look at your hands, and instead of seeing how old you are when you look at your hands, could you just see what those hands have done?
yes.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And if you saw what the hands did all through this time, perhaps you wouldn't mind so much. Or perhaps if you need to do something about it, you do something about it. But it doesn't have to you don't have to be hiding your hands because those hands have been busy,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I think that
Yeah.
goes back to the connection that we were talking about in the self-criticism. I
Yes.
think we hang out with quite a lot of people, and they've started calling me mama because I'm not the youngest one anymore. And for a minute, I was like, oh, and now I've embraced it. And what a beautiful thing. what an amazingly beautiful space it creates when you
Mm-hmm.
hold the space for younger people
For
to
younger
see
people.
themselves. It's wonderful. And so I'm actually having more fun being that person, this one here, than when I was, like Lynn was talking about, judging and criticizing
Yes.
everything I was doing. And am I looking okay? Am I doing,
Mm-hmm.
um, and just getting to love on people. We had a group picture, and there was a gentleman there, and he sat by me and put his arm around me, and I said, "Oh, it's going to be like this, huh?" And he just started beaming, and he's like, "Does your husband know?" And I said, "He's right there."
It's right
And
there.
and then he got a little funny on me for a second, and I said, "Just hold on, we're having a moment right here." And he just blossomed in front of me.
Oh,
And
fun.
I thought, how simple to acknowledge someone. Took no time. And as soon as we were done, he ran over to tell my husband what. And it was, and I just internally thought, that's nursing. That is nursing.
That is
Like
awesome.
whatever he needed in that moment came through a side hug, nothing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
nothing, a picture, 30 seconds. And it made his day. And I thought, how often can we do that for more and more people?
Yeah.
Once in a
Yeah.
while, I need it, you know?
So you talked about no longer being the youngest one in the room.
Hmm.
That's quite a realization. I remember when I first realized, wait a minute, I no longer the youngest one in the room. I took some getting used to that. Took that going,
Yeah.
wait, what's going on here?
I know. It was shocking to me because I often don't think of myself. I feel like a young person inside here,
Yes,
you know?
yes.
And
Mhm,
so I don't know. I think, again, age is just a number, but people in my circle, you know, um, see it differently, but it's a sign of respect, and it's a sign
mhm,
of the doing what you came here to do part.
mhm, mhm,
And
mhm.
I'm just going to love every minute of it because it's fun.
Yeah. I remember Michael Jackson sang that song. If you want to change the world, you've got to change yourself. The
Yeah, and
man
that's
in the
right. In the
mirror.
mirror. Yep, that's
Yeah.
right. And that's right. And that's so true. And the older I get, the more I learn just how true that is. Because you can try all you want to change other people. Um, it's only when you realize that people, their their responses to you is what, you know, they respond to what you're putting out there. So if you want, you're right. If you want to change the world, you have to change you,
Yeah.
and you will change the way other people respond to you and around you, and ripples in a pond,
Mhm.
kind
Well,
of
and
thing.
just having each other's backs is so important in our profession. We actually are the world's largest profession. I don't know why that's not front page news, but 4 million in the US, 14 million worldwide. There is no other professional group that is larger than we. We touch more lives than any other group of people on the planet. What a privilege. What an honor. And yet, sometimes we get caught in that backfighting, and
Hmm.
we need always to have each other's backs. In the medical profession, you just never hear anybody
That's right.
talking bad about another physician.
Hmm.
We need
Hmm.
to be the same. We
Yeah,
need to honor each other in
yeah,
every aspect of our work and our lives.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Indeed, indeed we do. And just imagine if we got that, if we actually just got that concept deep in our soul, just imagine how powerful we could be.
Oh, we would feel so rewarded, and which
Yes,
is the issue.
yes,
People not
yes.
feeling rewarded in their work, and we know that it has to change. It is changing, but when the pandemic came, I knew that there would be loss of life, but I just didn't realize how many of us would be lost. It was such a blow. And at the same time, I think I know we're an inspiration to other
Mm-hmm.
people, to
Mm-hmm.
people everywhere. And when they think of, well, in nursing, the Gallup poll shows every year that we're the most respected and the
Mm.
most ethical and the most
Trusted.
honest.
Mhm.
Yes, which equates to being trusted. And so we do have the support of the public. We need that support for ourselves, for each
Yes,
other.
yes, 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 yes. And I wonder though, what is it that makes us not have it, or not share it, not make, younger nurses understand, for example, that this is it. You're welcome into this fold. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, things are gonna go wrong, but you're here, you're in a safe space. What is it that makes us not make this a safe space for our colleagues? Um, Wherever we are on the spectrum, in that continuum. I don't know yet.
I don't think I know either, but I think it's changing. There's a lot of people who are like, yeah, I choose not to be that way. I talk to
Yeah.
most nurses. I haven't think I've talked to anyone who says, I want to help our younger nurses, really thrive and see who they are and support their career. And I mean, I've worked in the hospital for many years, and I think it's the stress when we start focusing on ourselves and we say, love yourself and take care of yourself. When we get under stress, there's also the physiological things that happen to us as nurses. So, under stress, all those nice hormones that are running around our bodies, that are running in our patients that we see so clearly, we don't see it so clearly for ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
So, when those same things are happening to us and our own IQ drops 12 points, because that's what happens when that
Mhm.
stress runs through your body, we're in survival mode and we're a little bit shorter with people and we're a little bit like, I just got to get through this. I think that's the part that causes so much unintentional problems within nursing.
Yeah.
And so we're not giving ourselves the space to go, oh, this is a me. This is me being stressed. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to be short with you, or I didn't mean to be unkind. Um, And I don't think we should give a pass either, like, oh, she's just having a bad day. Um, I think we have to say, hey, hold on, what's going on?
Yeah.
Can I
Right.
Yeah.
help you? Because that's a
Exactly.
different conversation.
Yes.
Yes.
Instead of just allowing someone who you obviously see is
Struggling.
struggling, that we
Mhm.
shouldn't ignore that. We should be offering that kind word or, hey, as soon as I'm done, I'm going to be there. Because as soon as you feel supported, as soon as I felt supported, my stress level, whew, and then it was so much easier to do all the things I needed to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so there's this little dynamic I think that happens that in the moment we don't actually recognize it, which is one of the things we work on in our program is like listening, listening to each other, listening to the intuition that we have for our patients and applying it to ourselves as well.
Yeah. 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 And the other thing that I think and that I have been thinking about for a little while now is that the physical spaces, the architecture of the physical spaces in which we work does not allow those things were not designed with our safety and our comfort in mind. It's
Right.
designed for efficiency. It's designed for, to be able to take care of patients and all of that. But none of it was designed for the caregiver to be comfortable in that space that they're working in for 12 hours or whatever it is.
Right.
And so when you feel that stress, there's no place to go.
Yep. That's true.
There's no place to go. So you carry it with you until you get in your car and then you ball.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It
That's
really
right.
shouldn't have
That's when
come
you
to
can
that.
let it all out, right?
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
shouldn't have come to that.
Yeah.
Right. So, I feel that the physical spaces also have something to do with all of this discontent that we see.
Now, I've been in a few spaces that were beautiful. Like the first ICU I worked in had all glass windows that looked out over the trees and you could see the sky. And
Okay.
I mean, it was beautiful. And so the nurses station faced that so we could see out. But when I worked in the recovery room, I was four walls, 12, 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
I realized later, after I left the unit, one of the reasons I was having so many physical problems was I never got sunlight ever.
You never, yeah.
Never
That's
got
right.
it. And, my body was crying for change, which looked like I need to leave.
Yeah.
And that wasn't, I don't think necessarily true. But in the moment, if you're in survival, that's what you have to change
Yeah.
something. And
Yeah.
to the best that you know how, that's what you do.
Yeah.
And then we get another experience of life, right? Like, okay, this is what it looks like now.
Yes.
But I think being more attuned, Florence Nightingale knew that. Why did she
Yeah.
drag all those cots out into the fresh air and
Into
sunshine
the, yeah.
and then
Hmm.
deep cleaned the rooms that those people were
Yeah.
in?
Yeah.
And suddenly people started getting better. Well, we have to do that in our own environments. We're
Yeah.
not separate from it. We all thrive in beautiful places.
Yeah. Exactly. 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 And I think that's one of the things we need to pay attention to. As we pay attention to all the other things, you know, I think that's one of the things we need to pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
So now, in your coaching business or just as a nurse, when a new nurse comes to you, what are you telling them? Because I came across a nurse the other day, and she was 3 months post graduation,
Mhm.
and she's like, I can't do this. I can't do this. So what are you telling people?
Mostly that we're in our program, what we're teaching is how thought works. Like this part of I can't do this is a question to ask ourselves, what do you need?
What are you?
What is it that you think you don't have? Because what we learn is that coaching is not separate from nursing.
Mm.
We constantly assess the patient. We are looking for the things they're not saying. We're helping people uncover limiting beliefs and their own why. And somehow we get up in our head about it. And a lot of times, if you just think about all the people you've taken care of, what were you looking for? You were looking for that patient's resilience. You were looking for
Yeah.
that part of them that says, okay, this has shown up in my life. What's my next step?
Hmm.
And we think it looks like what we see out in the world, right? Like we see all these wonderful, beautiful programs that look like they have it all together and they have all the right words and they have all the right systems. And somehow that makes us feel safer. The game you're playing is right here.
It's there. Yeah.
The game you're playing is how thought works. And I know that sounds very simplistic, but when you understand that thought is a power that you use every single moment to live your life with, it takes a lot of thinking off your mind to know that. It's not changing your thought. It's not positive thinking, although the positive side of life is where we have our
Yeah.
most benefit. But the other thoughts that we have are designed to keep us safe. So we have to find a balance.
Yeah.
And so the game we play is the one of understanding, do I need to pay attention to that thought or can I just go to the next thing that I need to do? And then we get to use our discernment with what we learn, because there's a lot of really good, very cool information out here to help us live better lives.
Yeah.
And then find out what's best for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Because sometimes, you talked about the thoughts, but sometimes we don't even recognize a thought.
We
The
don't.
thought, it influences what you're doing, but you didn't recognize that you had the thought.
That's right.
Right. You are the thinker. That's such a shock for people to realize. Just straight out, you are the thinker. you've got the power.
Mm-hmm.
And people honestly don't realize it. I mean, if you didn't have the power, I heard an interview of a young man one time who was in prison, and he said, the refrigerator told me to do it. No. We are the thinker, and
Yeah.
the power, we hold the power. The power is in us. Of course, it's divine source that provides everything for us. We know that, and yet we're not willing to give it credit. Barbie Dassey wrote, and they just got a brand new edition, 7th edition of Holistic Nursing, the Handbook for Practice.
Mm-hmm.
And she calls what we used to call nursing intuition, she describes it as informed knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds more scientific, doesn't it?
Yes,
But
it
where does
does.
that information come from?
Yes.
How do we know when we are running down to the end of the hall to check on the last room and arrive at exactly the time
Right
that
time.
somebody
Mm-hmm.
needs a nurse? How
Mm-hmm.
did we know to go
Yes.
down there? We've
Yes.
all had those experiences.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
now we can finally give it credit. Informed knowing. That's one of our I guess we could call it a tool in our toolbox, but it's so much more innate than that. It's part of the fiber of our profession. Florence Nightingale told us that she said it would be 150 years before people would see the kind of nursing that she envisioned.
Yes.
And that year was 2020. She told us that in 1870. And it's more true every day.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
finally arriving at a point where we literally are redefining nursing and the work that nurses do.
Yep. Yep. And that redefines the way people see us, the way we see ourselves, the way we move in the world, the whole thing. I love it. I love it. I love and Lynn, you just mentioned um informed knowing. Informed knowing. Isn't it so much easier if we have scientific language that people can understand?
Right, right,
Having
right.
the language for it. So it's huge. It's
That is
easier
so
to,
funny.
yeah, it is
Yeah.
because if you said intuition and people go, oh, okay, and if you said informed knowing, it sounds very clinical, very
Yes,
um, scientific.
right.
It's just to get
It
that
is.
across.
Yeah. That's why I created an equation that
Mm,
explains how our human experience is created. And it's called M equals MC to infinity squared.
mm-hmm,
Big M is mind, source, God, equals, always attached to it, never separate from it. Personal mind,
mm-hmm,
which is what we use to live our own personal life with everything we've ever learned. Our ego, all of the things are included in that, but it's personal, free will. With consciousness, the power of consciousness, which is our awareness of life, that we think, that
mm-hmm.
we're connected, to an infinite amount of thought, the power of thought to create whatever we want. And it's always active within us, whether we know it or not.
Yeah, yeah. That's a huge equation.
Mm-hmm. It in my mind, it just helps me go, oh, that is me. It's a metaphorical equation, right? It's not
Yeah, mm-hmm.
but
But still.
I like to look at it because it reminds me that that little M, that little me,
Mm-hmm.
I have the power to use mind, thought, and consciousness however I want. And I get to create the life I want, always knowing that wisdom is there when I stop overthinking and listen. And that's a big help, especially when you're really busy minded or overthinking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we do a lot of that overthinking thing.
Yeah. Guilty. I'm guilty.
All of us.
Me too. Lynn and Teresa, thank you so much for this conversation. And we delved into so many little things here. I can't thank you enough. I'm so glad that we reached out again.
Yes,
Oh,
thank you for
thank
having
you,
us.
Del.
Yes.
It's just wonderful to be with you. And before we even, when we were with you before, we didn't even have our course at the university level. But now that our same online course is being taught at a major university in a DNP program. So we have a foot in both camps. We're in academia and we're providing continuing education also.
Congratulations for that.
Yes,
Big
it's
thing.
wonderful to be here now. You know,
Yes.
and I asked our director, Margaret Erickson, why she requires 2 years of experience before starting nurse coaching. And she said it's because nurses can go all the way through academia and never have worked as a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
So she wants
Yeah.
nurses with some experience. And of
Yeah.
course, we do too. But we would take new nurses if they want to study with us, and then they can take the test when they have 2 years of experience.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Oh,
Very
Dell,
nice.
what a
Very
joy to
nice.
be with you today.
And
Thank
you
you.
too. And you too. Any last words you want to leave us with, either of you?
Teresa?
I'm just grateful to be here and grateful to have the conversation and open the door to anyone who wants to. You know,
And I
I
thank
like
you.
to hear what people are doing.
And thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing this. I so appreciate you being here today.
All right.
Thank you, Dell.
Take care.